Now the next method is the modern method of irrigation. In the modern method of irrigation, the first one is the tubules. Now if you look at the tubules and the wells is been bit modified. When the wells or when the ordinary wells is bit modified, it converts itself into tubules. In the ordinary well, the depth was up to 5 meters, but in the tube well, the depth is more than 15 meters, and the water is being pumped out by electric motor. Clear? That means the water is being extracted with the help of an electric motor or through the diesel motor, and because of that there is a difference between the wells and the tubules. And these tubules are specially found in the states of Uttar Pradesh and Punjab. Now, tubules has some geographical conditions which are required for construction of tubules. First is that there should be sufficient groundwater. If there is less groundwater, then the construction of tubules becomes useless. So first of all, before construction of a tubules, the farmer must find out whether that area has a sufficient groundwater or not. Secondly, regular supply of cheap electricity. It means that the government should provide subsidy to the farmers and provide electricity at a very cheaper rate, so that the water can be pumped out whenever it is required for the farmers towards the crops. Third is water level should be nearly 15 meter. It means the depth, that means the water level from the earth's surface should be nearly 15 meters. If the water level is much more deeper, then it becomes expensive for pumping out the water towards the farm. Advantages of tubules: it irrigates 10 times more than the ordinary well. Second point, the water can be easily lifted up as it works on electric or diesel motor. Clear? Third, it is independent source of irrigation. It means that depending upon the requirement of water, the farmer can construct tubules depending upon the requirement. So because of that, it is independent source of irrigation. Disadvantages: the farmers have to spend more money on electricity. It means now they are getting electricity especially to pump out the water. They are getting at a very cheap rate, but still they need to pay a huge price. They need to pay a huge price just to pump out the water. Second point, it is not fit for brackish groundwater. Supposedly, if the water becomes salty in nature, those water cannot be pumped out for the irrigation, because a crop doesn't grow healthy if the water becomes saline in nature. Third point is that it pumps large scale of water, which reduces ground water. It means that whenever the tubules pumps out the water, it pumps out in a huge volume of water. When the huge volume of water is pumped out, the underground water level decreases. Second modern method is the perennial canal. Now this perennial canal, it has a regulator which helps to maintain the flow of the water. If the farmer needs more volume of water, he can maintain the flow of the water, resulting in higher productivity of the crops. And in this perennial canal, whenever the perennial canal is being built or being constructed, the farmer needs to pay a maintenance charge towards the particular agency or towards the government for providing water towards to the farm. Now if you look at here, especially on this green board, I have mentioned down the name of the state, I have mentioned down the names of the canals. These you have to go through it. It means you have to learn only in Uttar Pradesh. There are two canals canals which is very important. The first one is the Upper Ganga Canal. Second one is the Lower Ganga Canal. You have to learn this, it's very important. And whatever I have written out here, it is based on the latest syllabus, because the syllabus has been a bit modified because of this COVID-19. So because of the changes in the syllabus, I have just given you the important one, especially of each state where those canals are important. Punjab, Upper Bari Doab Canal. Second one, Sirhind Canal. Haryana, Western Yamuna Canal. Second one, Bhakra Canal. Andhra Pradesh, Kundul Guddappa Canal. And second one, Nagarjun Sagar Project. Tamil Nadu, Mittur Canal System. And second one is Lower Bhavani Project. Maharashtra, Muthuwa Project. And Pravara Canal in the state of Maharashtra. And one more thing, boys, especially from chapter number 1 to chapter number 20, except that except the settlement chapter, urban settlement and the rural settlement, those chapters not there in the syllabus. Those two chapters has been removed. So whatever the differences you can find from the textbook, from the first chapter, turn the page, especially the chapter number 3, chapter number 4, chapter number 5, 6. In these chapters, you will find plenty of differences. So those differences I have not yet discussed in the class, as well as I have not yet discussed in the notes which I have been providing you in the school website. So those differences, at least learn two differences from each. Learn at least two differences from each of the topic, because those differences are very important. Okay boys, so let us continue. Advantages or merits of canal irrigation. First, canal carries a lot of sediments which adds fertility to the soil, because whenever the water flows from the river towards the agricultural field, the canal brings a lot of sediments, and when the sediment mixes up with the soil, it enhances or it makes more fertility of the soil. Second, it is a cheap source of irrigation, because I have already told you, whenever the farmer gets a water from the perennial canal, the farmer needs to pay just the maintenance charge towards the agency or towards the government, and that is one of the cheapest source of irrigation. Disadvantages or demerits of canal irrigation. It is suitable only in the plain areas. Second point, when canal water soaks in the ground, it leads water logging. It means that when the canal provides sufficient water and the water starts to accumulate, those areas becomes waterlogged areas, and when the water starts to accumulate, it becomes a danger for the mosquitoes to breed, as well as different bacteria as well as different insects to grow on that particular waterlogged areas. Many canals flow only during the rainy season. So I have already told you there are many canals, and these canals which flow only during the rainy season, they are called as inundation canals. Next modern method of irrigation is the sprinkler irrigation. Now sprinkler irrigation, it is an overhead irrigation system. It is connected with water pipe to its source. It means that it is an overhead irrigation system. One end of the water pipe is connected to the source of the water, and the other end of the water pipe is directly connected to the sprinkler. And this sprinkler irrigation is specially used in the tea gardens, or specially used in the orchards. Advantage of sprinkler system: it does not involve loss of water through seepage, because the water is being carried out with the help of a plastic pipes. So in the plastic pipe, unless if there is a leakage then there is no chances of loss of water. Less evaporation of water means the water which is being sent from the source towards the agricultural field or towards the plantation field, there is less evaporation of water because the water is transported through a pipe. It is not transported openly, resulting less evaporation of water. Disadvantages. First, it needs huge investment because the particular farmer or the particular planter, that person needs to invest huge amount in purchasing of pipes as well as construction of a tank, because the tank has to be there for the source of water, and the person has to pay huge amount of money to buy the sprinkler. Next, needs regular supply of water. If there is no regular supply of water, the sprinkler irrigation becomes useless. Next topic, danger of overwatering. Now here listen. Now whenever excess water is given to the fields, it results in water logging. And when the water logging takes place, it results those soluble minerals from the lower layer of the soil to come up. Okay, and those soluble minerals are the salts, because salts is soluble in water. So as the salts are soluble in water, the upper layer or the upper topsoil of the land or the agricultural land becomes saline in nature. As it becomes saline in nature, those land cannot be used for the agricultural purpose. So these are the dangers of overwatering to the agricultural field. Just remember that the salts from the lower layer of the soil, it rises up because the salts are soluble in water. And when the water evaporates, it leaves behind the salt, making that soil or making that agricultural land a unfertile land for the production of crops.